You will have seen those pictures in Beijing. We had President Xi, we had President Putin, and we had Kim Jong-un in Beijing. And indeed, we had President Xi saying the rise of China is unstoppable. And we know what his definition of China is. Mm-hmm. It includes Taiwan. What did you think when you saw those pictures?
Well, it's no secret that Xi Jinping has been modernizing the People's Liberation Army very quickly, and certainly it's no secret he has the ambition to complete the so-called unification of China by a certain time. We certainly know that, but I don't think Taiwan has been sitting idly by. We very much aware the existence of this threat, and Taiwan government and people have been preparing to strengthen our defense capability.
And how do you see the threat if it does actually become a reality?
I think right now it's fair to say that all the countries in the first island chain, including Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, are all trying very hard to resist the expansion of China. But for Taiwan, I would say that we face even more challenges. We call this a hybrid warfare. It's a combination of gray zone tactics, cognitive warfare, and lawfare.
What worries you? An invasion, a military invasion, or this grey zone aggression of a quarantine and sort of stopping ships and things like that?
Certainly both will keep us up in the middle of the night. But the assessment of our government is that certainly we see this threat from China has been existing, but the threat of using military invasion of Taiwan is not imminent.
And do you think what is called this grey zone aggression in the seas, in the waters, do you fear that could lead up to military action, military invasion? People are talking about 2027.
Yes, China's are practicing some sort of a limited quarantine or blockade of Taiwan, but these exercises, some of them with a live fire drill, can easily turn into a real military invasion of Taiwan if that's decided by Xi Jinping.
And if there is a military invasion, is your strategy, is your military capability to resist it for 1 month, and at the end of that month, you need the United States and others to come in?
I think our goal is to resist for even more than 1 month. I think a reasonable calculation is that we need to maintain our, for example, energy security, food security for up to 3 months. If we want to resist a blockade of the Taiwan Strait or some sort of a quasi-military activity conducted by Chinese PLA.
But eventually, after 3 months, if there were an invasion, you would need help. You would need outside help. You would need the United States.
Yes, and that's why we are also not only increasing our military budget, we are also establishing a so-called whole of society defense resilience.
But how confident are you that Donald Trump would come to the help of Taiwan?
Relying on the outside help to defend Taiwan is, in our opinion, not so realistic. But we do believe that countries like the United States and Japan, Australia, and even the United Kingdom will work together to send very serious signals to China and to warn China not to take military actions against Taiwan, not to alter the status quo in the Taiwan Strait unilaterally through coercion or through threats. Well, that said, the defense responsibility solely relies on Taiwan and Taiwanese people. So that's why I said our government has been strengthening defense capabilities.
And what are you hoping the UK, Sir Keir Starmer, might do?
I am glad to see the consistency in the UK's policy towards Taiwan. That included in the recent policy documents. The British government continues to reiterate the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and urge China not to use force to change the status quo unilaterally. And also in multilateral statements like G7 statements or the recent bilateral statement like UK, France leaders joint statement, and the most recently the UK, Japan defense ministers joint statement. They all mention the importance of stability and peace in the Taiwan Strait. So we're glad to see this position remains unchanged.
Now, it looks highly likely that at the UN General Assembly this month, Sir Keir Starmer will recognise Palestine as a state. Would you like the UK to do the same for you, recognise Taiwan as a fully sovereign state and give you a full seat at the UN?
I certainly would like to say, in the long run, this is absolutely my hope. I hope Taiwan will be recognized by most of the country in the world as a full sovereign state, right? Even though that right now we consider ourselves as a sovereign independent state, right? But we welcome all the rest of the countries in the world would fully recognize diplomatically as a country. But at this stage, we hope the like-minded partners, particularly like UK, the US, Japan, and other democratic countries, can help Taiwan push back China's distortion and misrepresentation of UN General Assembly Resolution 2758.
Just to clarify, that's 1971, the era of Nixon in China, and that was when the People's Republic of China was regarded as the sovereign government of China. Until then, it had been the Republic of China, i.e. Taiwan, that was regarded at the UN as the sovereign body of China.
That was the year when the Republic of China, my country, withdrew from the United Nations, and People's Republic of China replaced Chiang Kai-shek's representatives in the United Nations. So this resolution only addressed the issue of People's Republic of China's representation at the United Nations. It never touches upon Taiwan. It never talks about Taiwan's status. So it never claimed that Taiwan is part of the People's Republic of China. And it never ascribed any rights to the People's Republic of China to represent Taiwan at the United Nations and its affiliated agencies. But China continues to misrepresent this resolution as it is equivalent to the so-called One China principle. And it is an internationally accepted norm that all the countries accept that Taiwan is part of China. So the purpose is to internalize the Taiwan issue. So when it comes to a contingency in the Taiwan Strait, China would say, oh, this is our internal affairs, and no third countries should interfere in our domestic affairs. So in another word, they would never want to see the international support for Ukraine happen since the war in Ukraine started, will happen to Taiwan Strait once there's a contingency.
So we all have smartphones, we're all connected. What would it mean at a practical level if there was aggression or a military invasion and suddenly we had no access to Taiwan's semiconductors? What would that mean?
That would mean that nearly 60% of the world's semiconductors, including 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors, and 50% of the most advanced packaging of semiconductors in the world, and over 90% of the world's AI servers will be gone. No supply at all. So that would be the consequences.
And what would that mean? Would that mean that the interconnected world economy we have now
will be seriously interrupted? Even though other experts or officials are talking about taking time to rebuild the supply chain or to reroute the international supply transportation line. Those will take years. Imagine in all these years, while the rest of the world are trying to rebuild the supply chain, the loss will be significant, unimaginable.
Mr. Yao, thank you for talking to our Newsnight audience.
Thank you. Thank you very much.